My name is Spades, and in this video, I'm going to be reviewing the Gora Fire Contact Sword. The Contact Sword is one of my absolute favorite props because it takes the playability of a contact staff, but combines it in this magical tool with the asymmetry of the smaller sword handle with a giant flame blade. With enough practice, you can do all of the same body rolls and moves you can do with a contact staff, but with this prop, it's floating around your body in seemingly magical ways. Check out what you can do with a contact sword in this quick video. So this is the sword that I currently use for my fire performances. It's made by Gora tools out of Hungary. And there's a lot of features of this that I really appreciate that some of the other fire swords on the market just don't have today. So let's go over some specifics of this contact sword. So let's take a look at some of the unique features about these swords in particular. A contact sword, as you saw in the video and as I said earlier, always has a weight on the end to counterweight the blade. So that way you can find the center point of the weight of the entire thing in the handle right there. And that's what allows it to give this illusion of being an asymmetrical sword, but floating around your body, balanced like a contact staff. One major thing that I noticed right away with the Gora swords is the handle is in a really nice relation of size to the blade. It's pretty difficult to get a short handle and a long blade because obviously the longer the blade is, the more it weighs, and it's hard to find that balance point. So you either have to compensate by putting a heavier pommel and weight on the end, or what they did is they found a 7075 aluminum to be a really good mix of durability, but also really lightweight material that the entire shaft all the way through is made of. So the blade itself is pretty lightweight. And in all together, this sword only weighs a little over 2 pounds. They have two sizes you can get. There's a 126 centimeter size, which is about 49.6 inches. And that's a little longer than these guys. I opted for the 106 millimeter size, which is about 41.7 inches. I wanted that because I really like staff juggling and smaller staves between 3 and 4 feet. And I just felt the smaller the sword is, the quicker it's going to move, the easier I can do fast motions with it and still get the balance that I require to do all of my body rolls. Obviously, the shorter the sword is, the more difficult and specific you have to be with your body rolls. So I would recommend the shorter sword for more advanced contact staff or sword spinners, and the longer one for someone just starting out. So another thing that's really nice is they have this center mark right here. You can see right now the center mark is right on the back one there on the green. They have this other mark because that's going to be the center when the weight shifts as you fuel the sword. So the fuel that you put on is going to end up weighting this down a little bit more, and that center shifts to about here. And as you're going through your burn, it's going to slowly burn off that fuel and keep moving back to here. So you know when you're spinning this on fire, the center mark is going to be somewhere in between there. This is what the sword looks like after it's been burned a few times. This one is brand new. Like all fire props, it's made out of Kevlar, which you soak into the fuel. It's a wick, and then you end up with the Kevlar intact afterwards. It just has a little soot on it, so it gets darker. Another really nice thing that they add to their sword, which I haven't seen other people do, is they have a silicone disc here that is a really nice way to protect your hand from the flame traveling up the sword. If you hold a fire prop perpendicular or vertical, the flame usually goes straight up into the air and doesn't travel along the length of the prop. But as soon as you point down, especially at like a 90-degree angle, that fire can really run up your prop. And some of the worst burns I've ever had performing for over 15 years have been from my old swords that didn't have a guard here, and I'm holding it down at this 45-degree angle, 45-degree angle, I mean, and it shoots up the flame and it just kind of roasts the tip of your finger there. So that's something you want to really be careful for. I recommend never having it down in that position if you can avoid it. So always hold it at 90 degrees or straight up. But if you happen to be holding it down at an angle, this is going to protect your hand quite a bit, this silicone disc that's right there. They also have an option on the website. Instead of a silicone disc, you can get silicone tassels, which are called a flower. The flower does a similar job of protecting the flame, but it will also really slow down the roll, because as this rolls, those flowers spread apart and open up, and they slow down the momentum of that roll. So this whole thing is made of 7075 aluminum, and it weighs just over 2 pounds in total, which is really nice. It's not overbearingly heavy. This weight at the end on the pommel is a steel ball. It's, I believe, 50 centimeters, and it is just under 2 inches, about 50 millimeters, I mean, and it's just under 2 inches. It's cast in a rubber overlay, so that way it's steel with rubber over it, so it kind of gives it a little softer protection for as this thing is spinning around your head. It's not going to hurt as much if you bump yourself. But this is still something to be careful with all contact swords. This counterweight is definitely the most dangerous thing. And as you're rolling this by your face, you don't want to get hit by it. I've definitely seen people over the years get black eyes. I've even saw someone hit themselves in the temple and fall down. They didn't get knocked out, but you can definitely become injured. So the contact sword in general is designed for more advanced contact staff spinners. And like I said, the bigger the sword you're playing with, the slower it's going to move, the easier it's going to be to do these contact moves. And just be sure you're really confident with anything going across your face or your head. Be careful with those moves until you've practiced. Try them slow. Obviously, try everything without fire first. And then, as your skill builds, you just get better and better, and you can do more and more confident moves. So the grip here is Gora grip, specifically made by them. I opted for a tapered handle. They have 2 choices. You can get a straight handle, that's just straight all the way through, and it feels more like a contact staff because your staff has that straight handle all the way through. They also give an option of this tapered handle, and it's kind of like an hourglass. It's thick here, comes down to a thinnest point right around this balance, and then tapers back up until the disc. What this does is as it's rolling around your body, it really keeps it more centered right around there, and it makes it basically stick to your body better with these contact moves. The taper is created by just layering different grips underneath and then doing an overlay grip on top. So they use a spongy grip that's down here. You can see it's pretty soft and spongy. And as you get to this thin center, it has less of that padding, and then it gets more as it tapers back out. But this overlay grip that they have is also really great. It's soft, it's pretty tacky, not to like a stickiness to the touch, but it sticks to your body. And I've noticed even when I'm sweaty or wet, it still sticks to my body really, really well. So the grip that they use is really nice. I believe they call it Super Grip. So it's something you just get through Gora. Let's see. They also have a reinforced tip right here. The end of it has an extra little bit of Kevlar on there that holds this whole sheath of a blade into place. And it also just gives it a little extra protection, because when you drop these, inevitably the thing that hits the ground first is that tip. And so after you've had swords for years, this part starts to fray a bit, and that's usually where it goes wrong. I've seen swords that use Kevlar rope and it's woven all the way up, but as soon as that rope breaks at the top where it's braided or knotted together, then the whole thing comes unraveled and falls apart. This is made in a way where they have one sheath of Kevlar all the way up. So this is one really tightly braided sheath. So it's not going to come unbraided all the way to the tip. And then it's all secured with this little strip of extra Kevlar here at the top. I know on their website they recommend that if you drop this a few times and this starts to fray or come loose or come apart, you can replace and fix this really easily if you catch that quickly. If you let this break all apart and then all of a sudden this starts coming unraveled and falling down, that's going to cause a lot more headache to repair the prop. But if you're dropping it and the tip comes undone, you can easily repair that either yourself, or they can do it if you send it back to them. Yeah, I think that kind of covers why I like it. This ball right here is nice and small. I've seen these balls, this is about 2 inches, like I said. I've seen them up to 3 inches or even bigger. Some of them are not covered, so it's just a really hard surface where if it hits you, it can do more damage. This one is small, compact, and padded by that extra bit of rubber. I really like this hourglass tapered handle. It really sticks to your body nice and well. And this little disc guard. Plus, in general, it's just the look. The look of this sword has that classic sword feel with the longer blade and the shorter handle. Yeah, I think that basically covers it. They stick together pretty well, so that tapered handle also does nice when you're holding 2 swords into a staff grip. It just fits together nice and snugly, so that way they can move together and then pop back out. And then I wondered if this disc was going to get in the way of doing moves staff on staff style, or even on my body, rolling it around. At first when I was playing it, I was curious if this was going to be annoying coming into my body and hitting me. But what I found is it doesn't really affect it. Really, the hourglass shape of the grip really keeps it on your body right about here. And I've only ever tapped this at moments where I'm really just messing up and I'm about to lose it. And in all honesty, it gives you a chance to even pull it back or use that as a way where if it's coming off your body, it kind of guides it so it'll roll along instead of move all the way down, flip off your body, or move to where you could start having the fire area on your body. There's no exposed metal. Even in this little area, it's sheathed with more heat resistant. And all of this up here is all covered. The only piece of exposed metal on this entire thing is a little screw at the top there. And this is so counterweighted, there's no real way to roll that onto your body. Like literally, it's no possible way to get that there. As long as you don't strike something with it, you're never gonna come into contact with that tip. Practice with these, like I said, before you get on fire, it's a lot of fire. That's the really impressive thing about contact swords in general, is they're a great crowd pleaser for big stage performances. They just command a lot of attention with a huge flame. They last on fire anywhere from, I'd say, 1.5 minutes to 3+ minutes. But I always try to keep it short and sweet. I feel like once the fire starts diminishing a lot, you really lose that big impressive effect for an audience. So when I perform with these, usually try to keep it around 1.5 minutes, because then you're gonna stop and you're still gonna have a very impressive blade. And then if you just point them up slightly like that, that gives you like this beautiful wall of fire. This is especially good for photos. You can hold this right in front of you and just get surrounded by this walls of fire on both sides. Hold them out. This is great above you. Just like I said before, avoid doing that position, because in this position, the fire is gonna come up and at you and at your hand. But luckily, this disc can help with that. All right, I hope that helps. Like I said, this is my preferred fire contact sword, and they're made out of Hungary, but they have a website, Gora.hu, and they do shipping to the US. I know sometimes they've had promotion where there's discounted or free shipping on certain orders. And there's also a few shops here in the United States that also sell Gora props and products. If you're interested in finding one of those locally, you can message me or look it up online. I believe there should be a new prop shop here in Portland, Oregon that's going to be carrying these somewhat soon. But for now, you can get them directly from the manufacturer, Gora, in Hungary. All right. Good luck, happy spinning, and keep coming back for more tips, tricks, and tutorials for staff spinning, contact staff, double staff, sword, and more.